And I told you my wife, Dr. Alicia, is an expert on trauma. Her website, by the way, is coachingwithdralicia.com. So if you want to go hang out with her, talk to her, meet with her to help with your family issues, stuff like that. Like I believe every family that starts a business together or an investment club may want to have like a family therapist that can talk to the whole family together, so you can resolve disputes properly and make sure that you protect what you have. And in fact, if you're in the economic elevation circle, I just included something in terms of a code of conduct. I met with some students last night in a private session, and one of them said, "Do you have like a code of conduct on how we can perform our family business meetings in a way where we can get things done and not and settle disputes and things like that?" And so I put something together. So if you go to economicelevationcircle.com, use the code word morning, and it'll give you 40% off. But economicelevationcircle.com, it's in there. It's basically the family wealth code of conduct, or actually I think I called it the Black Family Capital Constitution, right? Just because I think and naming stuff is fun. So feel free to go take a look at that. economicelevationcircle.com. So the when it comes to trauma, there's a neurobiological impact that affects at least three regions of your brain: the amygdala, the prefrontal cortex, and the hippocampus. And so basically what trauma does is it really affects the structure of your brain. So when you have a repeated or intense exposure to trauma, it can overactivate the amygdala, right, which is the fear center. So you're scared all the time because you've gone through hell. You've been traumatized as a child. If you're not sure how traumatized you've been, there's a test called the ACEs test, ACES, Adverse Childhood Experiences. And if your score is like above like a 4 or above, I believe, then that means that you have work to do. My score was like a 6 or a 7. And my wife was like, I had no idea how much trauma you had. And she said, if I had known how much trauma you had, I would have considered whether or not I should marry you. And I don't even blame her for saying that, because I found that I needed to address some of my trauma responses to things and how that was limiting my outcomes, right? So having that time to step back, take a breather, process things in a certain way, let go of certain false beliefs that people are trying to get you, screw you, abandon you, all these other things, that goes a long way. And that ability to trust allows you to build a bigger social economy for yourself. The bigger your economy is, the more prosperity that you have. Fear is the enemy of prosperity. Anytime there's fear in the economy sinks. So when the U.S. economy starts to have fear, when investors are afraid, when workers are afraid, when consumers are afraid to spend money, companies are afraid to hire people, banks are afraid to loan money. When fear kicks in, the economy shrinks. So the Black economy does not grow because there's so much undiagnosed, untreated trauma, which breeds fear. And we think about this. Look at how many Black people are literally afraid of other Black people. Think about this. You have Black people that are afraid of their own relatives. Like, that's why I don't loan money to relatives. Well, why don't you? Because they don't pay you back. What relatives do you have? Because not everybody has relatives like that. When you go to Detroit and you see all the damn gas stations owned by Indian people, and I'm not even mad at them for it. If I can go build a family empire, I'm gonna go do it, right? So all the gas stations are owned by Indian families. They're loaning money to each other all the time. They're loaning hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. So what's the difference? What are you saying, that African American family members are inferior to Indians? Or are you saying that perhaps there's a different culture, one that breeds prosperity and one that breeds fear? Okay, not to say that they're perfect. You can't put anybody on a pedestal, but you got to pay attention to this stuff. So when you have repeated exposure to trauma, the fear centers, what happens is it shrinks your hippocampus, which is crazy, which is related to memory and learning, and it impairs your prefrontal cortex, which is that logical side of your brain that is responsible for decision making and emotional regulation. Emotional regulation. Emotional regulation. So I want you to think about how many traumatized people you've seen who have trouble regulating their emotions.